Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this evening. The Edmonton Oilers, well, we're closing out rookie camp today. Players were released from tryouts, some guys released from professional tryouts, and likely assigned to the Bakersfield Condors camp for now. As the Oilers get set up for main camp, just feels like hours away at this point. It's a beautiful time of year. By Friday, we'll be all geared up for the fan day. On Saturday, the reveal of the new jersey, which again is teased in these thumbnails I've been putting together as of late. And of course, as well, Sunday, the split squad against the Calgary Flames, one of which is going to be an absolute beauty of a night up at Rogers Place. Okay, I need not waste any more time. I'll ask you right now, if you are new to the channel, to consider hitting that subscribe button. Would love to have you aboard as a regular viewer on the channel. It's free and easy to do. And as well, if you're a regular viewer already, definitely just leave a like on today's video if you're excited to get main camp underway. What you need to know, first off, the news of the day, quite literally the only news of the day. The Oilers have released Drew Krebs from his professional tryout. That is, of course, the player I'm talking about, possibly headed to Bakersfield. Drew Krebs is signed with the Fort Wayne Komets, so it makes sense that he will join the Condors, at least for part of camp. As well as forward Andrew O'Neill, defenseman Jackson Adam, Carson Woodall, Parker Von Richter, and Hyde Davidson have all been released alongside Josh Benini from their amateur tryouts. So it was really, how do I put this? This is something that I don't think I've seen anyone take to task about the rookie games. And again, who really cares at this point? It's over and done with, and we can all forget about it now. I will say this. I think just a thrown together group with very little Oilers flavor on the back end for the defensive group, and at the same rate too, a forward group that, yeah, had a lot of offensive instincts, but struggled in the two-way transition game back towards their own net. There's a lot of instances to think of watching that. Obviously, again, recovering from your mistakes was one of my big things, and the Oilers did not recover well from their mistakes on the two-way game throughout both games. So, yeah, tough go for the defensemen. Made the goalies look even worse than maybe some would say they are, whatever you want to throw at the wall there. But no, it was a tough task defending for the Oilers overall in those rookie games. And again, tryout, 4 guys on your back end being tryouts are going to make sense of that, I think. So what you need to know here is for the forwards at main camp, this is where we move forward, we move onward, we get going with the actual meat and potatoes of why we're here. So we've seen Josh Szymanski, we've seen Vialmi Marhala, right? We don't need to worry about those guys. Connor Clattenburg, we've talked about him. We've talked about some of the big storylines coming out of rookie camp. What we need to talk about here, yes, the top 2 are rookie camp, but they are big main camp components here for the Oilers. Matt Savoy and Isaac Howard, obviously, we will be watching them until day 1 when they're on the roster, October 8th against the Calgary Flames. We understand that. That's the assignment this year. I get it. We're going to get sick of talking about him. I promise you. David Tomaszek, right? Another guy that we really need to hone in on what he's going to be capable of. So far, based on, at least Bakersfield level expectations for both Marhala and Szymanski, it looks like Stan Bowman had himself a good spring and summer, signing both those guys. David Tomaszek, who once upon a time when he signed in Edmonton just a few months ago, was basically promised by a lot of Oilers media members a top 9 role on this team. He will have to go out there and earn it because, again, the Oilers added some mixture to the bottom 6 with a guy like Curtis Lazar. Another guy on this list, or another 2 guys on this list, are definitely in that mix as well. And then the bottom guy could surprise you. So Matthias Janmark, why is he on the list? Well, simply he could very well, as he did throughout the regular season last year, play his way out of Edmonton during training camp. We know the contract is rather large for what he contributed during the regular season last year. Love playoff Janmark. I'm never going to complain about playoff Janmark. But when you have a guy struggle as mightily to score goals as Matthias Janmark did in an up and down the lineup assignment last year, you need more for his dollar point, and if you don't get it during training camp, you're going to have to make the move. I think it's understood there is some sentiment to make that move amongst Oilers fan and media anyway, so we're good there. Noah Philp, big camp for him. This is his chance to stick. This is his chance to get this job done. So again, he's going to have to come in and completely impress. run over expectations from last year and outdo everything expected of him this year. It's a tough uphill battle just because he's battling a guy like Matthias Janmark who's trying to stay here, a guy like David Tomaszek who's trying to secure that role, and a guy, like Curtis Lazar who comes in being expected to be either a scratch every night or a healthy 12th forward in your lineup. Now, James Hamblin is on that list, and I will cut back to myself personally here for a moment. You see the jersey here. You see the jersey here. You see that jersey all over Oilers Nation social media today, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, and X. So what we're talking about there with James Hamblin being a guy that you got to watch at camp, he is, as far as the Oilers have maybe up front, outside of the guys we've already talked about in Clattenburg and Marhola and Szymanski, we're talking about a guy who could very well factor into making the roster choices complicated for the Oilers. Do I at all think James Hamblin is going to make the Oilers out of camp? Not a chance unless there's multiple injuries. I just think the depth chart has moved well past James at this point of his career, and that's fine. That's dandy because, again, I think there's a lot to be said for a guy that's got to come back after a rough year of injuries last year and really put in the work to get back to where he was. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think that's a fair assessment of maybe even what Mr. Hamblin would view his season is going to be about. Now, that said, just because the depth chart on the Oilers has surpassed him a little bit at where he's at right now, the Bakersfield depth chart has to a large degree as well, right? You've added Szymanski. You might have Tomaszek down there. Noah Philp might be down there again, definitely eating a lot of big time for the Oilers because he's the first recall. Obviously, if Curtis Lazar gets sent down there, that's a guy who will play more minutes than a James Hamblin just based on the ability of Curtis Lazar and what he could do for the Condors. And I know that the fact that, Colin Chalk runs his teams a certain way. I know that James Hamblin's beloved in Bakersfield. I know that he's a guy that the coaches trust. I'm not saying anything there. It's just, again, the Oilers have a lot more at their disposal organizationally, depth-wise, compared to most of last year, whether it be at the NHL level or at the AHL level. Go look at some of those lineups for the Condors. Was not good. So James Hamblin, a guy who with a really good camp could make all of that complicated. And I think at this point anyway of the year, that's his best possible outcome. And that's why he'll be a player to watch. And again, my favorite guy. Why wouldn't I talk about him in my video, right? It's a little bit selfish sometimes. I understand that. The defenseman to watch. Okay, this is where you got to really listen up because I think it's clear to everybody they watched Szymanski and Marhola. Both guys exceeded expectations in those rookie games. Atro Lepinen, David Tomaszek, the more pros coming over from overseas. They have their chance to impress in pro camp, main camp. And obviously, Atro Lepinen kind of guaranteed a spot on the top power play unit in Bakersfield. How much further can he push that is going to be the question, considering, on this depth chart, you don't have Troy Stetcher, who I think you pencil in there as the 6-7 alongside Ty Emberson, but you've got a Cam Dineen, you've got a Bo Akey, you've got Ty Emberson, and you got Alec Regula, right? Those are five guys kind of bunched right together in the middle of the pack, kind of from 7 through wherever you want to say the list ends with Josh Brown. That's kind of how things are jam-packed at the depth chart for the Oilers past the top 6 that play every night at the NHL level. And that is not a bad organizational depth chart there for the Oilers, okay? Ty Emberson is your 7th defenseman. I'll take that all day. We know what he's capable of. We know what he can do. Alec Regula, we're going to get our first look at him this year. It's going to be awesome to see what he can do. Cam Dineen obviously has spent some time getting going with the Oilers. Bo Akey, professional now, and Atro Lepinen coming over after leading the Liga in points this year. I think there's a lot to like about the Oilers depth-wise on the blue line. Again, as I said about the Bakersfield Condors just a moment ago, there was a lot of problems with injuries. There was a lot of problems with depth on that team. That filtered up to the Oilers call-ups last year as well. So keep in mind, if the Condors stay healthy and the Oilers stay healthy, the competition, the performances out of both teams, the absolute level of goal scoring and ability out of both teams is going to be unreal this year. The problem is staying healthy and consistently putting in the work. And I think that won't be a problem the second part. The first part happens, the second part will follow. And that's why those would be your guys to watch here at main camp this year as we get geared up for what is going to be a big next 7 days for the Edmonton Oilers. Remember, next Monday we'll be dissecting a disaster class, I am sure, in some parts, and an absolute celebration in other parts of a split squad battle against the Calgary Flames. For right now, though, friends, thank you for being aboard. If you enjoyed today's video, leave that thumbs up, and I am up on out of here.